Picture it. Winter's just around the corner, and snowstorms are already in the forecast. You roll out of bed one frosty morning, excited to check on your greenhouse, only to find it's transformed into an icy wasteland. The power's been out for hours, and with it, the warmth your plants desperately needed. Now, all that time and energy you poured into nurturing those crops? Gone in one chilling snap. It's the kind of wake-up call that makes you wonder, how can I keep my crops safe from winter's wrath? Enter the Amish. While the rest of us are scrolling through pages of greenhouse insulation hacks, they're out there, chopping wood, stacking compost, and using the oldest heater of all time, the sun. No fancy gizmos, no electric backup. Just the right materials, a few clever design choices, and an approach that works with nature, not against it. So, saddle up Amish style as we dive into how they pull off this cold weather feat. Let's start with the Amish's secret weapon, the sun. No wires, no monthly fees, just pure, reliable solar warmth. They've mastered the art of positioning their greenhouses to catch every possible ray by facing the southern sky, where sunlight spills in from dawn to dusk. It's a concept called passive solar heating. And sure, when winter's in full force, the sun doesn't exactly hang around all day. But that's where the genius of Amish greenhouse design shines. Think about it like this, squeezing every last bit of warmth out of the sun, just like that final drop from a toothpaste tube. The Amish? They've turned this skill into an art form. Next time you catch a break in the winter clouds, channel your inner Amish and ask, how can I make the most of this? Answer, build smarter, not harder. And yeah, don't forget sunscreen. Now here's where things get really interesting. To keep a greenhouse warm without electricity, the Amish rely on a little trick called thermal mass. Sounds technical, but it's just a clever way of making sure that every bit of heat the sun provides during the day sticks around for the night. Imagine it like your oven after baking cookies. It's still warm long after the baking's done, keeping the whole kitchen cozy, minus the cookie aroma. This thermal magic happens when you use materials like water, stone, or bricks to soak up warmth during the day and slowly release it as the night gets colder. The Amish take full advantage of this, loading their greenhouses with what's essentially a stockpile of solar energy. They might have stone floors, brick walls, or even big barrels of water stashed inside. These heat batteries do their job quietly, releasing warmth at just the right pace to keep the plants comfortable, like a natural heated blanket with zero need for an outlet. And here's a pro tip from the Amish playbook. Water has one of the best heat capacities around. In other words, it can hold loads of warmth without heating up too quickly, making it perfect for nighttime warmth. Line your greenhouse with 55-gallon water barrels, and you've basically got mini heat reservoirs. With each one, you're buying your plants a few extra hours of warmth on a frosty night. It doesn't stop at water, though. Dark-colored stones or bricks can also absorb and radiate heat slowly. Ever wonder why black t-shirts feel like furnaces on a summer day? Same principle here. Dark materials draw in more sunlight and release it slowly. That's why Amish greenhouses often feature dark stone pathways or thick brick walls, which are quietly working overtime to keep things cozy. Here's the kicker. For every square foot of thermal mass in your greenhouse, you could be looking at up to a 15% reduction in the need for extra heating. Just a bit of stone, a few barrels of water, and suddenly you're keeping costs low and plants happy, like that one friend who's always hoarding the blankets but ends up warming the whole room. It's like a community potluck. These stones and barrels soak up all the warmth during the day and then graciously spread it around at night. So, when it comes to heating your greenhouse, let nature's little heat savers do the heavy lifting. It's effective, eco-friendly, and most importantly, it just plain works. But stones and water aren't the only tools in the Amish heating toolkit. Another solution? Compost. Now, before you picture heaps of smelly food scraps, hold that thought. Composting done right can be a surprisingly clean and powerful heat source. And it's the ultimate recycling system. Yesterday's veggie peels become tomorrow's greenhouse heater. Here's the science. Compost heats up through decomposition. When organic materials like food scraps, leaves, and even manure break down, they release heat, a natural, mini bonfire inside your compost pile, without the need for matches. Believe it or not, a well-maintained pile can reach up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than your average cup of coffee. The Amish figured out that placing these compost piles strategically around or even within a greenhouse can act as a gentle heat source, especially when the nights get cold. The trick, though, isn't just tossing random scraps in a pile. The Amish approach composting with precision. The right balance of greens, like kitchen scraps and grass clippings, and browns, like dried leaves and straw, creates a perfect environment for microbes to work their magic. As these microscopic workers break down the materials, they release heat, creating a natural, steady warmth for the greenhouse. One technique the Amish use is placing compost piles along the greenhouse's outer walls. Think of it as a natural heat barrier. The warmth from decomposition seeps through, creating a cozy shield against the cold. For an even closer source of warmth, some Amish farmers build compost bins inside the greenhouse, giving plants a direct heat source, almost like having a built-in heater that runs on potato peels and leaves. And no, you don't need to worry about odor. A properly managed compost pile smells earthy and fresh. If you're getting unpleasant smells, it's a sign something's off. Maybe it needs a little turn to aerate it, something the Amish do regularly as part of greenhouse upkeep. Done right, compost piles aren't just for heating, they're part of a whole ecosystem that's both sustainable and surprisingly clean. Some folks have taken composting even further, using it to heat water for showers or to warm up outdoor spaces. Imagine telling your neighbors that your plants are cozily heated by, well, vegetable scraps. Whether you're a serious gardener or just interested in reusing food waste, composting can be an eco-friendly, effective way to heat a greenhouse. Plus, once the compost fully breaks down, you're left with nutrient-rich soil, a double win. Warm plants and natural fertilizer, all courtesy of Mother Nature. And hey, who wouldn't want the bragging rights? Oh, did I mention my greenhouse is heated by cow manure? But it's not just about generating warmth. Keeping the cold air out is just as crucial. The Amish know this well, which is why windbreaks and insulation are vital to their greenhouse strategy. If you've ever experienced a drafty old house on a cold, windy night, you know how icy air can cut right through. For greenhouses, windbreaks are like a natural shield, stopping cold gusts in their tracks. The Amish use trees, shrubs, and hedges around their greenhouses to act as a barrier. Nature's version of a fence. Not only does it keep the wind at bay, but it also adds a touch of beauty to the landscape. And if you're wondering, can a few trees really make a difference? Absolutely. Studies show that a well-positioned windbreak can cut wind speed by up to 50%, which significantly reduces heat loss. For a greenhouse using passive methods to stay warm, that's huge. Plus, a windbreak can create a microclimate around the greenhouse where temperatures stay a bit warmer than in open areas. Think of it as a cozy blanket of protection from the winter chill. But windbreaks are just the beginning. Insulation is where the Amish truly shine. In winter, they line the base of their greenhouses with straw bales to create a natural insulating barrier. Straw may sound old-fashioned, but the air pockets in straw make it an excellent insulator. By stacking bales along the greenhouse walls, you create a fortress against the cold. It's inexpensive, simple, and when winter is over, you can compost the straw for even more garden benefits. To maximize insulation, just stack the straw bales tightly around the greenhouse perimeter. Any gaps would be like leaving a window open on a freezing night. But when done right, this setup provides an effective, low-cost layer of protection, keeping the warmth in and the cold out, Amish style. For those looking for extra insulation, consider the Amish approach of using wool or even old blankets to cover areas prone to heat loss. One of their tried-and-true tricks is lining the inside of a greenhouse with plastic sheeting. While plastic may not seem traditionally Amish, it's surprisingly common in their greenhouses. By stretching clear plastic over frames or creating double layers to form an air pocket, they trap heat efficiently. Think of it as a DIY thermos. Similar to putting bubble wrap on your windows, this setup keeps warmth inside. But it doesn't stop there. The Amish often use dark materials within the greenhouse, which absorb sunlight throughout the day. When night falls, these surfaces release that heat back into the air. So while you might be bundling up, Your greenhouse is staying warm with strategic windbreaks, insulation, and heat-absorbing surfaces. Imagine a tree-lined windbreak doubling as a natural fence and cozy straw insulation, turning your greenhouse into a fortress, an eco-friendly heating solution courtesy of nature. The Amish approach to greenhouse gardening in winter isn't just about clever heating tricks, though. They focus on choosing crops that laugh in winter's face. It's like building a resilient team. You wouldn't put a fragile player against a tough opponent. Similarly, they choose cold-hardy crops: spinach, kale, carrots, and beets. These plants can handle a frost without a flinch, thriving even as temperatures drop. Kale, for instance, actually gets sweeter after a light frost as it converts starches to sugars to protect itself. For the Amish, frost is nature's sweetener, enhancing the taste of winter-hardy greens. But crop selection isn't everything. The Amish also use succession planting, staggering plantings to ensure continuous harvests. Like keeping your wood pile stocked for winter, they ensure there's always something fresh to pick, keeping the greenhouse productive all season long. One final Amish trick is the use of cold frames and hotbeds, a combo straight out of the Amish gardening playbook. Cold frames act like mini greenhouses, capturing sunlight and trapping warmth, while hotbeds add extra heat from below. Placing a cold frame over a hotbed creates a cozy, insulated spot for plants, protecting them from the cold air and providing warmth from both above and below. It's an ingenious setup that keeps the greenhouse warm without relying on costly heating systems, a time-tested, low-tech solution to thriving in winter. Hotbeds and cold frames are like natural heating systems for your plants, using sunlight and decomposition to create a cozy environment without any electricity. Cold frames, which act like mini greenhouses, trap sunlight and insulate plants from the chill. All it takes is a wooden or metal frame with a glass or plastic cover. During the day, sunlight streams in, warming the interior, and at night, the trapped heat keeps the plants snug. To make one, position the frame on the south side of your garden for maximum sunlight. You could even add straw bales around the frame for added insulation. Cold frames are perfect for kickstarting seeds in early spring or nurturing hardy greens like spinach and lettuce through winter, creating a tiny microclimate that lets your plants flourish. Meanwhile, hotbeds use decomposing organic material, like manure, to warm the soil from below. When you dig a trench, layer in fresh manure. Horse manure works especially well due to its heat, and cover it with soil. The decomposing manure releases heat. This natural warmth is ideal for early spring planting or extending the season into fall. Plus, as the manure decomposes, it enriches the soil, acting as a nutrient-rich, slow-release fertilizer, keeping your plants warm and boosting soil quality. The Amish approach to farming goes beyond these innovative techniques. It's deeply rooted in sustainability. Over 90% of Amish farms are family-owned, handed down from generation to generation like a prized family recipe. They aren't just using these methods because they're eco-friendly, they're using them because they work and have for centuries. This knowledge isn't just about preserving the environment, it's about a lifestyle that respects nature's rhythm and relies on time-tested, sustainable methods that support their community and land for future generations. The Amish don't worry about sustainability trends, they live it every day. For them, simplicity isn't a lifestyle choice, it's a way of life that's been passed down through generations. Their greenhouses, often made from sturdy wood and glass, are designed to last with minimal upkeep. Instead of electricity, they harness natural elements: sunlight, wind, and even manure. This low-tech approach might sound like something out of a pioneer guide, but it's an efficient, time-tested solution. Think of it as the ultimate "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" philosophy. While some might proudly claim a minimalist lifestyle with a couple of shirts and a fork, the Amish make even those minimalists look like collectors. They use what they have, never waste, and they don't need a social media post to prove it. Heating their greenhouses is just another example of this mindset. They don't rely on fancy gadgets. Instead, they harness nature's resources with ingenuity. It's kind of like fixing something at home with duct tape. Only their solutions have been perfected over centuries, not just in a quick DIY moment. By making the most of sunlight, using thermal mass, or leveraging compost heat, They show us that a sustainable, warm greenhouse is possible without an electric bill. This approach doesn't just keep their plants thriving through winter, it's a lifestyle that reduces their carbon footprint naturally. So, the next time winter rolls around, think of the Amish and their greenhouse rulebook. With some know-how and creativity, you can keep your plants cozy and your wallet happy.